guys, welcome to Pete Punch Beef Gaming, where today Kristin and I want to do an unboxing of Glasgow. A two-player game that is about 30 minutes in length, and it says it should be for players that are 10 and up. But before we crack this guy open, Kristin, would you be so kind as to read what this is about?
Certainly. Today, Glasgow is the biggest city in Scotland and third biggest in the United Kingdom. Since the 18th century, the city of Glasgow saw a great restructuring. Merchants of the area took the lead in developing what became modern Glasgow, one of the first grid-planned cities in Europe. In this competitive game for two players, you play as one of those merchants, brokering contracts at the docks and buying real estate with the hope of having the greatest contribution to the new city of Glasgow.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, well, we'll crack this open and get you guys situated so you can get a good view of the components. Okay, we were a little bit remiss in that we didn't mention that Lookout Games appears to be the publisher of this game. So, Kristin, before you take the top off the box, why don't we just give everybody just a real solid look at the back? And this, I feel like the art looks a lot like Caverna, or perhaps even Agricola, or Agricola, however you'd like to pronounce it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Tomato.
All right.
All right, let's open this guy up.
Okay.
So the first thing we've got here is the components. You want to go through these?
Yeah, here, why don't I?
Yeah, and I'll just kind of hand it over to you.
There we go. All right. This is my favorite part of unboxing.
Oh, the meeples?
It's the meeples. Yeah, of course.
The meeples are nice there.
Okay. So these are wooden. And it's a two-player game, so we've got two little guys here.
Blue and green, it looks like.
Yep.
Jaunty caps.
They are jaunty indeed.
Are they the same size?
They are, I think.
Oh, the same size, just...
They're not symmetrical.
Okay.
So you got to go in the
But
right
they're pretty
way.
close, yeah.
There you go. All right. So
Maybe bricks?
possibly bricks.
Wooden bricks?
One barrel.
That's kind of a cool meeple.
It is. It's actually kind of the regular wood grain. These little...
Steel or iron, maybe?
Probably. They look like I-beams.
Yeah.
And then whatever these yellow guys are.
Yeah, maybe action tokens or markers, something along those lines.
I'm sure we will find out. So that's it. Pretty simple for two players.
Okay, sounds good. It does look, just so everybody knows, if you want to show them this, it does come with plenty of baggies to kind of keep all your stuff organized, which definitely helps on the setup.
We appreciate that.
All right, here's the, looks like the rules.
Okay, there we are. And that's going to tell us, oh, those are gold.
Ah, gold, okay.
Very nice.
And a whiskey barrel
And a
and
whiskey
steel token. Stone tokens, okay.
There we go. All right, so this guy's not too long. Just, oh, it's a fold out.
Oh yeah, so definitely looks pretty lean.
Yeah, it does. Looks like two phases. There's some different contract tiles. Placement rules. And then game end and scoring.
Yeah,
So pretty
it doesn't
straightforward.
look arduous by any stretch to get into it.
No, not at all.
Yeah, okay, very good. All right, so it looks like the next thing we've got here is maybe the tokens and the board.
Yeah, looks like it. All right, so looks like two of these. So these are our little player boards.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
Okay, and then tokens. These are nice and thick.
Those definitely feel like
Oh yeah.
Caverna.
Yep. They punch out very nicely.
Yep, very
That's what the
clean.
backs look like. Oh yeah, a lot of different locations. Let's see. These are all squares. Let's see this guy off. There we go. So I think three of these. This one's stuck together.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay.
There we go. Oh, okay. So these are more of the squares. And then these look like people.
Yeah. Some more buildings or,
Yeah.
I don't know, personas maybe?
Yeah.
Or workers you can hire.
Yeah, these do look
Give
like
different
workers.
actions maybe. It's like definitely more traditional Euro style.
Definitely. And then, oops, I just popped one of those guys, but another one of those. So all in all, 4
Punch boards.
punch boards here, all really nice quality, nice and thick.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what those are all about.
Yeah, certainly. I think we're definitely going to be doing a review of this one
Yeah.
after we're done in this case. So I think that's all the components. So
That's
let's
it.
go ahead and talk a little bit about value and interest here.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we've kind of unboxed what's in here, which I think, thank you for going through it. Certainly a 2-player game is a little easier to approach that when you get down to
Not a
it.
lot to unbox.
Yeah, what did you think, Kristin, with the components?
I think it's very classic Euro. So I think they were nice components. You know, all the punch outs were nice and thick. I always appreciate wooden meeples, which is pretty standard for, I think, a Euro. So not a ton of components to really compare, but
4 punch-out sheets, a couple of player boards.
yeah,
Maybe 15-ish tokens somewhere in that ballpark.
exactly. The good news there is it could be something that's really easy to get going, a quick 2-player, something that travels well, which we like to take games with us when we travel.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's my initial thought.
Yeah, so if you're going to rate it on a score of 1 to 12, the D12 rating,
Yes.
Where would you come down?
I'd probably give it, above average, maybe a 7 or an 8. Again, it's very simple. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But what they do provide looks to be really nice.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what you said. I would come down to 7. The punch boards, it does look pretty thick, so I'll give it credit for that. The meeples seem nice. They're not chipped, they're painted, or at least lacquered or whatever the case may be. Yeah, nothing too fancy. Doesn't blow my socks off, but certainly not below average in that regard. Okay, moving on. Let's go with the values. So the MSRP on this one is $35 US.
Okay. That's a little steep, I think, for such a small game. I mean, it has so few components that I would maybe not pay $35 for it. Maybe I'd pay in the 20s.
Yeah.
That's what what I think, which is I think maybe closer to what we got it for.
Yeah, I want to say we picked it up for $24, $25, somewhere in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to agree. $35 for what you're getting, just component-wise, seems a reach to me.
I agree.
Now, the intangible here that we're not taking into account yet, because we haven't played, is the gameplay and the value.
Right.
Being that it is 2020 and COVID is running rampant and we're not getting out to see all the people that we want to play with or we normally would play with, we are in the house playing 2-player games. And I feel like that's a harder thing to get into. And certainly there are many games that say 1 to 4 players, 2 to 4 players, 2 to 6 players, whatever the case may be. I feel like games are different with just 2 players and not good different. So finding dedicated 2-player games that are not miniatures games that are head-to-head is a little bit of a reach. There are not a ton of them. We have seen more this year, but so maybe that $35 is well worth it after you play it, and you're like, holy smokes, this is a lot like we play 7 Wonder Duels
Yeah,
all the
such a good
time, and I think it's probably in the same ballpark in terms of cost, but we love playing that, and so just the experience might offset it. So if I was to rate it again, in terms of value, without sight unseen, without playing it, I'm gonna go 6.
Yeah.
I certainly don't feel like I'm paying $35 for Rockstar components. I think they're good components. I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're average, but I don't think there's a whole bunch of production value going into these, in my opinion.
I would agree. I think that's a good initial rating, and we'll after we play it, we'll come back. We can do a review and kind of see what we think the value of the gameplay itself is.
Yeah. So let's talk about interest.
Okay.
What's your interest?
Definitely high for me. I think for 2 reasons. One, Euro games are my favorite, so I'm always very interested. I like the art. I like the style. So that's very interested. And then I think the other thing that you brought up is it is a dedicated 2-player game. And I would agree with Chris. I don't love playing 2 players on a 4 to 6 player game. I just don't think that they
2 to 4 or 2 to 6.
2 to 6, 2 to 4 or 2 to 6, or 1 to 6, whatever it may be. I think those games generally play better at 4 to 6 players. So I've enjoyed dedicated 2-player games more, and we need more of those, I think, for us, just because of COVID. So I think that actually bumps it up on my interest list, and I'd probably give it an 8.
Yeah. So I give this a 9, I think, in terms of my interest to play. Maybe the reason why I don't give it a 10 is when we get right down to it, Kristin kicks my butt at Euro games almost every time. And when I say kicks my butt, you could probably put a teddy bear in the chair and it would be more competitive than I am against her. But nonetheless, I am really looking forward to playing this.
Maybe I should bump my interest up more then.
You should, yeah, because it's a chance to belittle me, which is not the case in all honesty. But she is a way better Euro player than I am. All right, so overall, where'd you come down?
No, I feel like I'm gonna have to go a little higher. No, I still think that the cost kind of drags the overall down a little bit, but my interest is high, so I'll probably stick with an 8 overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go averaging all this out, not mathematically, but just kind of emotionally as I'm thinking through this. I would say I'm probably also an 8 on this. I definitely want to do a review and kind of talk through it like we did recently with Last Aurora, and kind of give you guys a little bit of the playthrough mechanics and then what we thought.
Yeah.
But this is Glasgow. We're super excited by Lookout Games. And again, it's a 2-player game, about 30 minutes and 10 plus. Looks like MSRP is about $35, and you can probably find it on any of the discount sites for about $25 if you're not supporting your local game store, which is always a good deal, especially in this time. And I think that's about it. So if you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe the Pete Punch Beef Gaming channel. Would love to have your support. Otherwise, thanks for joining us.
All right. We'll see you after we play.
Thanks.